break down the science of saying hello and how you can overcome this, because we understand that might be hard for some people. Hello, Dr. Kim.
Hi, so good to be here with you.
Yes, it's so good to be talking to you about this. I love this because, yes, I feel like in this 2026, we've all become so insulated. We're all on our phones. Nobody is talking to each other. And I also think it's no coincidence that so many people are unhappy nowadays. And a lot of people are dealing with mental health issues. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Absolutely not. People are discontent in general. They are struggling with social anxiety more than ever. We used to think it was really dangerous to, talk to strangers, and obviously that's good to a point till adolescent, but when we have these high statistics of social anxiety, we want to kind of break through that way that we have contentment boosted because connection is an innate need for people.
Agreed. So what are the primary benefits of just saying hi to a stranger and talking to somebody that you might not know?
Yeah, we actually get a surge of dopamine. So the dopaminergic region in the brain actually is lit up, as we see on brain scans, when we say hi to strangers even, right? Especially when our perception is good, right? So our side of the street is clean. We try to add value to that presence, right? By nodding, by smiling, by saying hi. So our brains light up and we feel that connection that we actually need. It's very innate in us.
And for a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people are just glued to their phones, so it's just a matter of putting that phone down. But I think a lot of people are also just uncomfortable. They also feel sort of awkward about saying hi to people that they don't know. So how would you recommend that people? It sounds so simple, but yeah, for some people it's hard. So how would you recommend people start going about this, or at least trying this in their daily lives?
Absolutely. So, yeah, 17% of young US adults actually struggle with social anxiety. So, what we typically have to do in therapy is actually start getting them exposed to these uncomfortable situations, right? So, one thing that we have them do is warmly smile without eye contact. That's the first step. Then we warmly smile with eye contact. Then we work our way up the next week to warmly smiling with saying hello or good morning, right? So it has to be that gradual piece to habituate to saying hi, good morning, to reconnect like we used to do.
And if hello or good morning feels uncomfortable for people, are there other ways to sort of breach that distance, or, to break the ice?
Yeah, as a lot of people that don't really love connecting with people will connect with animals, right? So we'll give like a compliment to the small dog, the big dog, the leash color, the vest on them. Sometimes we'll just compliment someone on their fashion piece, or connect to the moment about what's going on. But that's a really good way to do it is give a compliment.
And are there places that people should do this? Like, are there some places that are better than others for trying to approach people, or say hi to people?
Yeah, we can do this anywhere. We can do this in line, at a restaurant, waiting for a table, at dog parks, at beaches. Do it when you're running errands. Some people will tell me anecdotally that they get lit, they light up just from getting a compliment from a stranger in a parking lot, or someone saying hi or nodding warmly. Sometimes it gives them actually that external validation that they may have needed, right? We don't want to depend on external validation, but it certainly lights us up because we start feeling connected, right? It's not just the biased people in our lives actually connecting with us. It's someone outside of us. We feel like we're connected to the world now.
Yeah, and I imagine fear of rejection could play a role in this as well. Like if you say something to somebody and they don't respond, or don't respond the way that you would hope. So, I mean, is that something that you think people grapple with? And if so, how can people kind of overcome that?
Absolutely. And what I say is try not to personalize. If we know the statistics are so high on people feeling socially awkward or socially anxious, or they could be in their own mood, try not to personalize, right? Your side of the street is clean. You were warm. You're feeling good about yourself, and that way it doesn't penetrate. There's something called Teflon mind, right? So their opinion or the way they respond rolls off of us. We know that we're dealing with ourselves and presenting ourselves in the best light, right? So we can feel good about that and let everything else roll off.
And I mean, you were talking about the science of sort of that dopamine hit of, that immediately happens after you say hi. But I feel like long term, it also creates a happier life in terms of the fact that you're building community around you. So talk to us about that a little bit as well.
Absolutely. So something people really want to look at is positive psychology research. So instead of with general psychology, right, what's not working, what's maladaptive, diagnoses, depression, bipolar, anxiety, positive psychology really looks at what is working in life. So what it shows really strongly, the research represents that activity, meaning, and purpose and connection are huge ingredients to contentment, to overall happiness. And activity, meaning, and purpose and connection help build your identity and self esteem. So we're getting a self esteem boost by habituating to saying hi to strangers
Mm.
warmly. We're getting that innate need of connection, and that's a huge prong for contentment, for happiness.
I'm wondering if the research also shows a generational gap in sort of the willingness or like the ability to do this, because I really feel, older generations, this was much more part of just life, just saying hi to people, making conversation at the grocery store, or just when you're out and about. I feel like it's when you hit sort of millennials and on that this sort of kind of just dropped off in the culture. Does the research show that at all, or?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, we do show like a leaning toward a little bit more selfishness, more social anxiety. Millennials, and then particularly Gen Z, right? That's the majority of my clients right now, and that's why we're working on exposing ourselves, right, to strangers a little bit more in a healthy way in person, right? Not just in vivo, in person. So we do show that the older generations had less of a struggle with this situation. Obviously, Gen Z is showing high percentage, 17% usually in young U.S. adults.
Got it.
Social anxiety.
Any other
Mhm.
takeaways from this research that really stood out to you, or that you think people should know?
Yeah, people should know that just looking at this prong of contentment, building it up, right? Getting out of your comfort zone, but in micro ways, because habituating something, it doesn't have to be extreme. We do it in baby steps, right? It takes
Mm.
66 days to build a new routine, according to the research. Take 66 days of being warmly saying hi to someone, making conversation about something that's kind of jovial or silly about what's happening in the store right then, right? Lighting up that way. Asking where someone's from, if they're visiting, what they do for a living. Those little things can make a big difference, and it starts helping you practice for dates, for connection, for friendships, hiking groups, walking groups, whatever the next step is. But we need to habituate to those things in order to feel fulfilled in that connection piece, because it's huge for contentment.
Agreed. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Chronister. This is so interesting, and it's such an important reminder as well. So thank you for sort of sharing this.